So, first of all, are you able to just outline the disruption you've had this morning?
Yeah, it's a little bit around the COVID protocols, obviously. So yesterday we had a couple of inconclusive tests, which doesn't mean you've got COVID. It just means the tests basically need redoing for, I don't work in the lab, James, so I can't give you the exact details, but the tests need redoing. One of those guys played in the game last week, and because there were a couple of inconclusive tests too, it would have affected the whole track and trace from Wigan. Obviously, they've had 2 COVID positives this week, so we've had a little bit of conjecture around that. And if our test had been returned positive, obviously that game would have had to be re-track and trace for the people that were in close contact. So we knew who the players were who may have had to have been stood down around 8 o'clock this morning. But we didn't get the results back from the lab until 9:30, 10 o'clock. They were a little bit delaying that. We usually get them in by now, so there's a little bit of a delay in that. So we had to just sort of put everybody on hold. The 3 or 4 guys that were under suspicion, shall we say, told to stay away until they got a text message from us. But thankfully, everybody's been cleared. The test came in, that the people involved had cleared the test. It was just a little bit of a delay rather than too much alarm. Okay, they do the track and trace just in case, just in case it does come back positive. But thankfully, touch wood, we're all clear.
It's obviously a constant worry for all teams, isn't it? All coaches, all players. And with a Challenge Cup final just around the corner, I mean, the thought of having to stand players down en masse ahead of such a big game is unthinkable, but possible, obviously. So do you take any extra precautions between now and then to make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, I don't want to be the blokes to tell them if that's the case, that they would have to miss out on a showpiece final, especially if, not that you can guarantee where it's come from, but if you track and trace from, an opposition team. And I think what we've found is the guys that have been stood down on track and trace, none of them have developed COVID symptoms. I might be wrong here, I'll stand corrected, but I know our guys that stood down on track and trace, and as far as I'm aware, people within the game haven't. I don't think there's a case that's developed COVID, so it would be an extremely, extremely bitter pill to swallow if that was the case. In terms of what we're doing, it's again just being asked the guys to be vigilant. We're really confident that we've got a secure training venue here. We're very, very careful in and around the place, and we've asked the guys that from here on in, our next COVID test will be Sunday. Obviously, we've got a game to negotiate that first. Our next COVID test will be Sunday. It's just to be ultra careful, caution, although that in itself is difficult. Not being careful, but just where'd you get it? Where'd you get it? Where'd you pick it up from? So, yeah, just going on, coming here, putting yourself in, I guess, as much of a bubble as you possibly can. We're very socially distant when we do our team talks at the moment. We're very socially distant in our meeting rooms. Everybody wears a mask. There's, hand sanitizer everywhere. So we're just taking the utmost caution. But sometimes, as we found out, it's actually out of our hands.
On lighter matters, just give us a sense of the mood among the squad after Saturday.
Anxiety after this morning. The concern. No, the mood has been great. We put in a terrific performance at the weekend, and quite rightfully earned our place in a showpiece final, which gives us all, in a difficult season for everyone, gives us something very much to look forward to if we can stay COVID-free over the next sort of 5 days, and a good performance too. So I think, knocking a top team off like Wigan in the manner we did will, I think, fill us with confidence moving forward that, we know if we get ourselves in those games, we're certainly capable of doing what needs to be done. So, yeah, very, very confident. Obviously, we've got another game to negotiate, which we feel is vitally important in terms of our top 4 hopes. I think the fact that playing before the semi, playing Catalan, we obviously had an inexperienced team. We got a lot out of that, as we all know and have talked about in the past. It was a good day for us. But we'll probably have to do that again at Warrington. So there's some games that, again, sort of other top 4 rivals that if we want to be as well prepared as we can for the Challenge Cup semi, we're going to give some more inexperienced guys a go, then you can see how that could impact our race and challenge for the top four. But there's a lot of games coming thick and fast too, and I guess the post-cup final games are the ones as well that we need to get chalked off. But we see this as a vital one, mate, to keep in there with our win percentage in terms of our challenge for the top four.
What's the nature of Alex Mellor's injury?
He got sore ribs, so we just, again, rather than getting him jabbed up this week, Bodine Thompson's fit, good player. Alex will give him the rest into it, mate, and stop him feeling, that little bit of soreness that he felt last weekend. But he'll be fine and good to go and train fully next week. We just didn't want him to be sore out of this game into the game prep for next weekend too, especially when we've got a high quality player like Bodine sat there waiting to go.
So Thursday's game, can it be seen? Are you sort of relaying it to the players as maybe a Challenge Cup final audition for some players?
Yeah, my word. I think very importantly, we're speaking to the senior players this week. There's been absolutely no question of us resting players. This is a game that we feel is vitally important on a number of factors. Obviously, as we've talked about, our challenge for the top four, it's a local derby against some fierce rivals. And there's also the matter of guys playing and keeping themselves informed to try and lock down a spot and hopefully get into the final with some great confidence. And we had some good players not in our team at the weekend. Jack Walker wasn't in our team, Adam Cuthbertson, Alex Sutcliffe. We got a number of guys that are really pressing for selection. So for some guys, whatever team we choose to go with tomorrow night, it is an opportunity for those guys to I guess, put the best foot forward and rubber stamp themselves in that team.
Just finally from me, Rich, Cass are going through a bit of a tough spot at the moment. What do you expect from them, and have you got sympathies for Darryl at this point in time?
Yeah, I do. I think looking at them when they played Hull in the quarter-final of the Cup, were just a really difficult period for them in terms of volume of games and the way that they've got battered about a bit, especially to some key personnel, and having to move blocks about pretty much every week. They've been a difficult team to preview in some respects, such has been the changes of the team. But what I have seen is still a really competitive team. They've been in the games right up to the death a lot of the times, and they've been really, really close, or within a score or lost late. And again, being that derby game, we're expecting them to come out as they have done, and I think no one could ever question their effort. I think their effort's been good. There's still a team that, when they get you in good ball, have got a number of quality players. Paul McShane's been a wonderful player for him. Junior Moores is playing back on an edge and a real handful. We've seen Gareth O'Brien. So there's still got, we think, good enough attack and good enough points in there. But again, I would point back to their effort and the fact that they've been in really close games, and some of those games have been pretty contentious as well. So regardless of their recent win and loss record, we're certainly not underestimating the challenge that we're going to face.